Little bounce through there. I hate this selector. The selector is just so fiddly and tricky to use, needlessly so. But anyway. G'day, I'm Paul. Do you want some hair on your chest? I need some. Maybe not ideal if you're a woman, but anyway, this is what you need. It's a Ford Ranger with a new Walkinshaw suspension tyre light kit added to it. It is a new package they're doing. It's limited to just 25 units. It'll cost you 14.5 grand on top of the cost of your car. You can apply it to an XLT, a Sport, or in this case, a Wild Track. They actually did a lot of the tuning for this vehicle here in top secret at the proving ground where we test. So excited to put it to the test and see exactly how it all works. So we are going to do a review just on the components. We've already reviewed this car 1,000 times. The review for the Wild Track is in the comments section below. Today we'll just focus on the additions to this. So if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes on the screen. We'll do a bit of light off-roading as well. And if you're on YouTube, you've got chapters down below, and make sure you have subscribed if you haven't done so yet. Let's run through the design elements. So you'll see that this sits higher. It has a 2-inch lift, so it sits about 50 mil higher than a standard Ranger. This is quite similar in terms of the ride height to the Amarok that we recently tested with the optional suspension package you can get on that. So I'll be keen to see how these two compare in terms of the way that they ride and handle. On the design front, all of this looks pretty much the same, but it's not until you get to the side here that it looks a little bit different. So you've got a fender flare package, which you can get from Ford. They've added that to the vehicle here to just get that offset slightly wider. You've got parking sensors and that blind spot monitor built into the side there with that. Look at these wheels. So it's on a set of 17-inch alloy wheels from FXH. They're a machined wheel, but these tyres are bigger, so 285 wide on the front and the rear. These translate to around 33 inches in size, and that is similar to what you're getting in the Ford Ranger Raptor, the full fruit version that we have on sale at the moment. This is paired with a V6 diesel here in this application. Beneath the skin here, this is where you're going to see a lot of the changes. So upper control arm has been changed to correct the suspension geometry according to Walkinshaw. You have new springs and dampers. You have a Bilstein damper and also new springs with a different spring rate in there as well. They've also changed the drop links here for the sway bar. So that means you're going to get sharper handling when it comes to throwing this around corners. And I'll be interested to see how it goes, because one of the weak links to the Ranger Raptor, and this isn't really a Ranger Raptor competitor, but one of the weak links is the KO2 tyre for on-road performance, especially in the wet. So I'll be keen to see how this performs with these Maxxis all-terrains as well. So we'll see how that goes. Walkinshaw stickers. So you got this sticker that runs down the side here. You've got one on the back as well. Have a look at these spotties. They look unreal. So you've got 6 of them there, and they're activated using the auxiliary switch bank inside the vehicle. These can't be used on road. They're for off-road use only. We'll test them later on inside the warehouse here so you can actually see how well they performed. I gave them a little run last night and they absolutely light up everything. So very good for off-road driving. Now, around the back here, another set of these Bilstein dampers, but this set here has an external reservoir. The front doesn't. You have a new bush and shackle kit for the leaf springs. The leaves at the rear are also running 150 kilo constant load as well. So that's going to obviously make a difference there in terms of how this sits with a load in the vehicle. There are no changes to the capacities of the vehicle as a result of these suspension changes either. And they have also done a rear tail shaft alignment, because Ford had struggles with that when this vehicle was launched. So that's one of the other changes. Come right to the back with me. Now around the back here, Walkinshaw Performance badge off to the side, and then a WAU sticker here as well. I've got to say that with Walkinshaw, they actually do a really good job in terms of just giving this just a mean looking appearance, and this looks so cool out on the road. So yeah, I think from that point of view, they've done a great job. Now we need to go see whether it actually handles the way that it looks as well. So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Do you like the look of it? Do you reckon it's too expensive? Oh, I forgot to mention, as part of the sort of limited edition stuff, you also get tickets to your local supercars event with a garage tour of the Walkinshaw garage, plus a signed hat as well, and that's for 2 people. So bargain when you consider what you're getting in addition to that. Okay, so we've just set off in the Ranger, the Walkinshaw Ranger. I might just call out the only real change to the interior here is the build plate. So this is an engineering car, so it's EO1, but these will be numbered 1 to 25. And to activate the high beams, it's the auxiliary switch up the top here. So we will test that a little bit later on in our shed just to see exactly what they are like. But predominantly now what I'm going to do is just focus on what the ride feels like while we're driving around here at the proving ground, and we'll go for a faster lap as well to see whether that has improved as well. So first thing you'll notice is, I don't know if any of you have driven the Colorado Sports Cat, or the HSV Sports Cat, I think it was called. It's basically a version of the Colorado that they tuned to HSV specifications, so it was nice and sporty. This kind of feels the same. It's got quite a sort of firm edge to it. It's not quite as soft and compliant as the Ranger is. And when you think about it, the Ranger has to meet a diverse set of criteria. You've got to be comfortable under load, comfortable without load. There's quite a lot there that it has to achieve. So what we're going to do, I'm going to duck over here to our twist course. This just gives us a bit of an idea of what the suspension feels like with a bit of flex on it. So it starts off here fairly gently, and then it gets into the rougher stuff as we go through. Kind of just gives you an idea of what the compliance is like when you hit some of these bumps while you're going. There we go, that's all responding very nicely. And then we round out this little section here with, I don't actually know how to describe this, but it's basically a very close set of concrete blocks that gives us an idea at lower speed of what the resonance is like inside the cabin. And we're going to have this to a more extreme degree when we go on our bumpy section of the condensed sine wave. But I like taking all the cars through here just to see how much compliance you get across this stuff, and that all feels really nice. There's no weird noises or anything coming into the cabin, which is good news. All right, so tick on those fronts. Let's head out onto the ride and handling track and let's give it a bit of a kick. We'll see what it is like with a bit of speed under its belt, because I know that this isn't a Ranger Raptor competitor, but I'd be curious to see what these tyres are like with this. Okay, so the tyres just on that sort of quickly loaded up section don't like getting a whole stack of load put on them. They like to squeal there. But once the speed picks up and you're gradually applying load, it actually feels really good. So I'm pinned to the board here. It is absolutely hauling. Yeah, the brake pedal doesn't feel great, but that's just a standard Ranger thing. Okay. It's actually a stack of traction here once the speed picks up. Like low speed sharp cornering it, these tyres don't seem to like it, but higher speeds here, it's actually sitting surprisingly flat. We're getting to the point here where I'm hitting bumps mid-corner and it's just cruising over them really nicely. Wow, this is like completely transformed the car here. So, all right, we've got the corner onto our sine wave here. I'm actually pulling some serious speed here in a V6 diesel Ranger. All right, there's some bumps midway through this corner here. I'll be keen to see how that feels. Wow, that has just soaked that up beautifully. You know what, let's give it a punch. We normally do this at 130. I'm just gonna plow it over this at like 150, 160. Oh, yes, that is unreal. It is hoofing along. I did not expect us to be in a position here where we are flat stick in a... we're losing GoPros, everything's falling off. Wow, that is seriously good. Like, yeah. Can you imagine if you put like a set of Pilot Sport tyres on this or something and had this suspension set up? It'd be like a bloody race car. I would genuinely love to see what it would be like if they did this kind of suspension tune on Ranger Raptor with a sticky set of tyres. Because the pace that we were just pulling there around the track here on what is effectively a chunky all-terrain tyre, and you know, they are quite aggressive suspension mods, but this has been tuned for performance and it is seriously smile-inducing. So just as a reminder as well, this is this version of the Ranger, 3-litre turbocharged V6 diesel, 184 kilowatts of power, 600 newton meters of torque, and we just did that lap there in 4A, which is 4 automatic. We just popped over onto our gravel section. I'll just have a little sticky beak at what it's like over here. God, I hate this selector. The selector is just so fiddly and tricky to use, needlessly so. But anyway, all right, we've got a gravel section here that'll take us around the ride and handling track and onto the bumpy road. So turn off traction control there as well. I just want to see what it's like through here as well, because typically I test all this stuff in all the cars regardless. Here we go, a little spoon drain here. Little bounce through there. So this isn't a Ranger Raptor, but I reckon with a bit more pace through that section there, we'd probably have this a little bit airborne. And it's got the suspension there to cope with that sort of stuff. So it's not a Ranger Raptor, but I think that you would be more confident punting this than you would in something like the new Ranger Tremor. And even through this section here, it's just giving me the confidence behind the wheel to really stay in it and know that the suspension isn't going to faff around on me. We're hitting a lot of these bumps at higher speeds and it's taking it all like an absolute champ. So you are getting a slightly firmer ride in and around the city, but if the speed picks up and you are going to do a bit of aggressive off-road driving as well, it is like the perfect package. All right, let's do our choppy road here at 90 k's an hour. Yeah, look at this. It is soaking all this up nice. So we've got our condensed sine wave coming up here as well. So I'll be keen to see how it responds with this tight set of bumps through here. There you go. So basically we're kind of floating over the top of those. So it's not sort of responding quick enough to fall into those divots, but for the application that we have here, it is doing a pretty decent job. Now, in terms of road noise, you will notice a bit more road noise with these tyres. So they're quite a chunky tyre, all-terrain, so they are going to eat into the comfort level you have inside the cabin. There is also a bit of noise that comes in through the lights on the roof there as the wind picks up. So as how it went up against our calibrated sound meter. If you do want to see how this compares to other cars that we've tested, there's a link in the description below. And I'll get the guys as well to overlay what it was like in the standard Ranger as well, without all this extra stuff, just as a point of reference. Now, we're inside a super spooky shed at the moment. I want to show you these lights. So right now I've just got my just parkers on. That's the normal beam. That's the high beam of the car. But watch this, if I flick this switch up here, that is the high beam. It is unbelievable. So there it is there, off, on. Unbelievable. So basically it's been wired up to this auxiliary switch up the top here, so you can just turn that off and on. Not allowed to use it on road. It's really just for off-road use, but I did have a play with it last night and I thought given it's daylight, it's going to be hard for us to test it. So this should give you a good idea of just how much extra light you are adding to that package by flicking that switch up the top there. Okay, let's do a little bit of light off-roading. This is going to be nothing sort of too crazy, but I just wanted to see what it's like here with the all-terrains and with the lift and just whether it performs just as well as a Ranger normally does in our light off-road course. So in terms of the basics, 50mm lift means you should get more ground clearance beneath the vehicle. The bigger tyres also help with that as well. We should also see more wheel articulation. We're going to try overlay a shot here of the standard Ranger with this so you can see exactly what that looks like. And I'll also be testing the traction control system to see whether that works just as well as it sort of does before all the changes made. In terms of just the standard figures that you get here before these changes are made, 30-degree approach angle, departure angle of just over 25 degrees. You have a manually lockable rear diff lock that works in two-wheel drive high range. Your regular driving mode is two-wheel drive high range, but you can flick to 4A four-wheel drive high range, which locks 50% torque to the front, 50% to the rear, and then four-wheel drive low range as well. There is a hill descent control too. So we're going to head off in two-wheel drive high range across our course first with traction control on, just everything in its normal setting to see how it handles this style of terrain and whether it all works. So we'll kick that rear wheel up, just give you an idea of how much articulation you're going to see there. All right, so there it is, just there in that hole. So you can see there, we're getting a decent amount of articulation, and that is causing that tyre to droop lower. That's going to help you when you're off-road because it means the tyre is closer to the ground and you are able to get more traction as you're driving. I'll now lean onto the throttle and we'll just see how it performs now in terms of the traction controls. I can already feel it doing its thing there. All right, there it is. A little bit more throttle. Boom. Over it goes without any dramas at all. So that is a good thing. All of these changes haven't affected the way this performs in two-wheel drive high range there, which is good. So what we're going to do now is go back over that little mogul that we have in four-wheel drive high range. This is something other manufacturers can learn from as well. Like, watch this. I press 4 high and it makes the switch and is ready to go almost straight away. I don't have to do any fancy stuff. I don't have to do anything stupid to get it to engage. Some of these brands that have these archaic four-wheel drive, the transfer cases just take forever to switch. So, all right, we'll go over this now without the rear diff locked, just to see how it's going to perform in terms of its traction control. So we'll just get it wedged up on our concrete block just around there somewhere. And then I'll lean on the throttle. We have one tyre without traction. Just lean onto that just there. Oh, here we go. Just genuinely just a piece of cake. And it just comes down to the traction control just working. It's really not that hard. So yeah, that is impressive. Let's head over to our hill now. Okay, so it is hill time. So the way this works is I attack this in low range. We'll lock the rear diff here as well. I just go gradual throttle up the first time, then I'll come back around and we'll do it once more by coming to a stop and then trying to apply the throttle to see if it'll take off fine. So neutral, full drive, low range, and then we lock the rear diff on this screen here. That's locked. What you can also do is change the drive mode here. So I might actually move this over to mud ruts so that it's able to handle itself a little better. So there's mud ruts there. All the okay, so it's telling us to shift into 4 high, but I'm just going to ignore that. So let's climb up here and see how it all goes. So gradual throttle, little slip there. Man, these tyres make such a big difference. Basically, with these tyres, it just hooks up so easily going up there. And I can already see that they're starting to get a little bit of mud inside them as well. So see what it's like on our second run here when there is a bit more mud. Even through that little mud hole there that has become quite deep now, it just plows through that with that extra ground clearance. So that is good. Creep over here and we'll head back to our hill one more time. Okay, take 2 on the hill. This time I'm going to come to a stop. This has been chewed up a little bit, so we'll see what it's like here. So we'll just drop it into there. All right, so foot off the brake to see if it has a hill hold. Yes, it does. And then rolling onto the throttle. Oh, yes. Seriously, the tyres make all the difference here. Right there, if we were in a standard car with highway terrains, it would have just sat there, spun up the wheels. But with these chunky all-terrains, it's hooking up, it's moving, it is doing exactly what you want it to do. So that is very impressive stuff. Okay, finally, let's head over our rocks. So just left it in four-wheel drive, low range. I wonder if this has a rock mode. This is such a painful thing to use. Sand, mud ruts. No, it doesn't have a rock mode, so I'll just leave it in normal, I guess. Okay, so yeah, I've left it just in four-wheel drive, low range. I'll just load the brake up with the throttle. Rear diff stays locked. We'll see how comfortable it is across this. Piece of cake. These tyres are perfect for this type of thing. The suspension's good. It's pretty comfortable. It's not bottoming out anywhere. It's just sort of cruising along it very nicely. So, yep. All right. So the Walkinshaw Performance Modified Ford Ranger. What do we reckon? Look, it is a big old chunk of cash. 15 odd grand. You've got to supply the vehicle as well. But if you are a fan of the supercars series, you get to do pit tour, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, from that point of view, I think it is pretty good. And to be honest, the changes they've made here have transformed this car from a handling standpoint and also in terms of off-road, even though you could just whack the tyres on the car for much less than 15 grand to do better off-roading than a stock car. These changes really work in unison with all the systems and don't give you any grief at all. So this is a seriously cool package. So let me know in the comments section below, are you buying one of these? Are you going to be one of the 25 people that ponies up for one of these, let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it, you share it with your mates, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done that yet either. But until next time, take it easy.